Hello and welcome to the Bench Report. You're listening to Amy and Ivan.
Hello.
Today we're looking at the condition of school buildings, specifically in Northumberland and Newcastle.
hmm
We've got a parliamentary debate as our main source, and we really want to, get to the heart of what these issues mean for the students there.
Well, the first thing that really stands out for the debate is the dedication of the teachers and staff.
Right, despite the challenges with the buildings themselves.
Exactly. Places like Queen Elizabeth High School, Selby First School, Hexham Middle, Long Horsley St. Helens, they were all mentioned as examples of staff really committed, even when things aren't ideal.
That commitment makes what happened at Prudhoe Community High School particularly stark, doesn't it?
It really does. Finding structural cracks just before GCSEs and A-levels. I mean, the timing.
And the building itself isn't even old, less than 9 years, built under that priority school building program from the last government.
Which sort of begs the question, how does a relatively new school end up with serious structural problems so fast?
You have to wonder. And the impact, having to relocate all those Prudhoe students to Washington.
A huge effort involved there, but it shows how urgent it was.
Joe Morris, the MP for Hexham, he was quite direct about it.
What did he say?
He basically argued it showed a kind of disregard from the previous government, since their whole building program was supposed to fix the worst schools.
But Prudhoe wasn't one of the worst, or shouldn't have been, being so new. It's sort of the opposite outcome.
Precisely.
And then another MP, Jim Shannon, brought up warranties.
Ah, that's interesting, like for household goods.
Yeah, his point was, shouldn't there be something similar for major public projects like schools? Who's accountable when construction fails? It's a fair question, isn't it?
It really is. There's also a personal element here for the MP who raised the initial issue.
Oh.
A family member attended Prudhoe Community High School. So you can imagine that adds a certain urgency for him.
Understandably. And it wasn't just Prudhoe being discussed, was it?
No, definitely not. Concerns about other schools in Northumberland came up. Berwick Academy, for instance.
Formerly Berwick Community High School. What were the issues there?
Things like black mold in student toilets. And delays, significant delays in planned rebuilding. They had a county council plan from 2021.
But it's stalled.
Seems like it. Still waiting for the outline business case. It doesn't exactly scream progress.
And that led to wider criticism.
Yes, accusations of a kind of mañana attitude from Northumberland County Council, not just on buildings, but also send transport issues.
It's interesting, alongside that, to hear a quote that was mentioned from a former conservative education minister.
What was the quote?
Something about how their schools were built 1/3 cheaper per square meter on average than under the earlier building schools for the future program.
Which inevitably makes you ask, did cutting costs contribute to some of these problems down the line?
It's a question that hangs in the air, certainly.
And then there was that leaked report.
The one indicating a senior DFE official flagged an upcoming risk 3 years ago.
That many schools were potentially a risk to life. That's quite chilling.
Especially contrasted with reports that Prudhoe, looked fine externally when it reopened.
So it really fuels those calls for a proper investigation into Prudhoe. What exactly went wrong?
And demands for an apology to the students for all that disruption. It must have been incredibly destabilizing.
Absolutely. Another MP, Lee Pitcher, also made a good point about the broader impact.
How so?
About how the physical state of a school affects not just learning, but also, community pride. A building you can be proud of matters.
That's true. And the challenges for rural schools were highlighted too. Hayden Bridge High School was an example.
Right. Huge catchment area, funding needs, and the top concern raised by students.
Let me guess. Toilets.
The condition of the toilets. It often comes down to basics, doesn't it? Though they did mention the RISE program offering some support.
And inevitably, the political angle came up.
Yes, the argument that these problems reflect 14 years of conservative neglect in the Northeast, that was definitely part of the debate.
Of course, it's important to note that support was acknowledged too.
Yes, the Department for Education helping Prudhoe and Sunderland College stepping in with space.
And the government response. The Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Education spoke.
They did. They acknowledged inheriting schools in dire need of repair after the Building Schools for the Future program was canceled.
And pointed to current investment.
Yeah, talked about increased government spending. $2.1 billion this financial year for school conditions, up from $1.8 billion, and $1.4 million for the current 100 rebuilding projects.
Including projects in Northumberland and Newcastle specifically?
Yes, those were mentioned as being part of the ongoing program. They also mentioned support for dealing with RAAC, that aerated concrete issue.
And the government's position on responsibility.
Basically, that local authorities and academy trusts are responsible for day-to-day maintenance. The department provides funding, guidance, programs.
And steps in for major safety issues, presumably like Prudhoe.
Exactly. They stated the investigation into Prudhoe is ongoing, and they view it as an isolated incident for now.
And mentioned new school estate management standards being published recently?
Right. So the overall message from the government was a commitment to improving school buildings.
So quite a lot discussed, from specific building failures to broader funding and responsibility questions.
It really highlights how crucial safe, functional school buildings are for education, for well-being, for communities in Northumberland, Newcastle, and, well, everywhere. Questions about accountability and future investment definitely remain.
Indeed.
As always, find us on social media at Bench Report UK. Get in touch with any topic important to you.
Remember, politics is everyone's business. Take care.
Hello there, this is Tom, the producer of The Bench Report. Listener suggestions are vital to my mission of making politics more accessible and accountable. So, if you have an issue that's really important to you, personally or professionally, and want to know what those in power are doing about it, please get in touch via email or via our socials at Bench Report UK. I'll grab another coffee and start scanning those parliamentary archives.